too far. Let's stick to the point we're talking about.
And people stealing off
you know something? You're saying consent, as long as it's consensual.
You mean went too far for you?
No, as long as they have consent.
You can see what instability does in society.
Glenn, wait a minute. Actually, you have actually, you know what you have done there? You have actually proved something against your own self. I'll tell you how. Okay, imagine there are two adults and they both consent to have sex with each other. Yes, I'm talking about incest. They do not hurt anyone, and they use contraception to do it. Would you wait? They use contraception, so there is no procreation involved. Now let me ask you this question: do you agree with incest? Would you agree with a mother sleeping with his son or a father sleeping with his daughter?
Like I said, you use nature. You asked me where I get my morals.
No, you said consent only. You didn't mention nature.
Oh, well, correct, but it's
now you're backtracking.
Seems
like
as you're saying.
Oh,
I'm not backtracking. I'm just saying that, like with the word testimony, it can have 5 or 6 different facets to it.
Right.
Unfortunately, with this word consent, it has as well.
Why didn't you mention that?
But I did.
It's every time I correct you, you try to somehow backtrack into it.
But you're backtracking. I started by saying you use nature.
No, you said consent very clearly. As long as you don't hurt anyone and you both have consent and you're not hurting anyone, then by nature it's fine. That's what you said.
I boiled it down to consent for simplicity, but I started by saying you use nature.
Okay, so tell me why is incest wrong according to you, based on your principle?
Because
why is it wrong?
According to me, because according to nature, nature shows you that a son having sex with a mother leads to crippled.
No, but remember I told you they don't have to have procreation. They use contraception.
Nature has shown that it's wrong.
But
nature doesn't.
Do you not understand? Their idea is just for pleasure, not to procreate.
I do understand.
Would you agree up to that level?
No.
Why not?
But what you're saying is I can't disagree. You're telling me I can't disagree.
I'm saying you can't disagree, but are you then not going against your principle?
It's showing you that nature shows why it's wrong. Therefore, whether you use a condom or not, it'd still be wrong. Because it's there in nature.
Why is it wrong?
Just like I said with condoms.
Based on your principle, why is it wrong?
Father and son. Father and son.
Yeah.
What about
Glenn, based on your principle, why is it wrong? If there is no intent of procreation, why is it wrong? Because your principle was very clear. As long as you don't hurt anyone, as long as two adults have give consent to each other, then it should be okay. But now all of a sudden it's not okay.
Well, let me ask you. Let's say that the world changed quite quickly, and sons were having sex with their mothers.
Would you agree then?
No.
Why?
Because I said in nature it shows you it's wrong. We can get
and I told you there's no intent of procreation.
We can get around it with condoms, but it shows, you can see that...
Okay, I'll tell you what, father and son, can they have sex with each other?
No, hold on, I was asking
they can't have babies, can they?
I was asking you a question.
Now go on.
I was trying to ask you a question, which was...
No, but you're not answering the question.
Say more and more people did, with using condoms, have sex with their parents, right? So that they're not producing kids that will have deficiencies that we know of.
Which is?
Oh, they cripple...
They're wearing condoms, remember?
No, I'm saying...
You're going all over the place, aren't you? You haven't thought it through.
No, I said... So what your game is, you interrupt, and I'm going to...
You look very nervous all of a sudden.
I was saying, let's say this doesn't happen. Let's say they do use condoms and it doesn't...
Glenn, I'm not trying to corner you. I'm just saying, based on your principle, you're completely wrong.
I said, let's just suggest, overnight, the whole world started having sex...
Wait, let him finish his point. Go on.
Let's say they started having sex with their mothers, right? Then what actual negative effect does that cause in society from you?
No, I already see it as wrong. I don't need. I don't need.
Yeah, but
your principle. You know what you're doing now? Instead of answering the question, you're putting the question back to me. I already denounced it. Look, regardless of crippled children, regardless of what happens, to me, incest is wrong, period, based on my religion, based on my faith. But you somehow devised this principle that as long as you don't hurt each other, you do not hurt anyone, and you have a consenting adult saying that is okay, then what would be the problem if a father and a son had sex with each other?
Same thing, that nature's showing us that
they don't get babies,
offspring.
Don't tell him, let him realize that.
Father having, they don't, but I don't care.
So why is it wrong then?
What I would do is...
Why is it wrong? Based on your principle, why is it wrong?
Maybe for him could be wrong, but for the...
I'm trying to explain to you, you keep interrupting me. Right?
No, please do, go on.
He doesn't have an authority.
Father... Explain, bro, stop.
My authority
doesn't intervene into somebody's choice.
My authority is to use nature.
Yeah.
And just in the same way as in religions, that you've got verses that act as morality of how to behave, some people bend and twist that, and you can, because they're written in texts, and those words can mean various things.
Answer the question based on your principles. So, don't bring it back to religion.
So you,
I want you to answer based on your principle. Why is it wrong for a father and a son to sleep with each other with consent?
What you're doing is I'm giving you an answer to...
No, you're going back to the religion.
It's a natural thing to do.
You're going back to explaining the religion.
I'm going back to me. I was saying that I would use nature as my gauge. But just in the same way as in religion, that is the gauge can be used in various different
Sorry, when you
ways.
say nature means what?
Within the couple.
Yeah. When you say nature means what? Do you know there are? Do you know in nature there are animals who sleep with their sisters, their siblings? Yeah, the pigs, for example.
Yes, but I'm not talking
but that is nature.
I'm not talking about
so what then?
Humans apply pig nature. We've all got different morality because biology is instilled that. I can feel you're going to interrupt me in 3 seconds flat. Every different species has their own biological morality, right? The chemicals that they have will either lead to them continuing or they will lead to them dying out.
There's no evidence for that.
So the fact that a pig is a different species to a human, what pigs do, I would not use that as something to say that's okay for humans to do.
So what nature are you talking about?
Well, I should have been more specific.
Exactly, you should have. Okay, human nature. Yeah. So tell me what would be the problem
like said,
if a man and a son sleep with each other?
Like I said, the word testimony can be slippery.
Glenn, I'm asking you for the 4th time. What would be the problem based on your principle, even from nature, for a father and a son to sleep with each other?
Same thing. Nature has shown us that
what will be the problem?
Father, therefore, siblings having sex with parents is wrong.
Why?
Because it leads to kids that have massive...
They don't have kids, father and son.
I know, and neither do gays. But the mother and the son shows that a mother...
Oh, so are you against the gays as well? Are you against the homosexuals?
No, not at all.
You're not?
No.
Okay, so what is the problem with a son and a father then?
If he saw you wrong...
Because nature's told us that siblings having sex with their parents...
But they don't... It's what?
Is going to cause problems for those kids.
Like in the case of the father and the son, what problem would you envisage?
In the case of the mother and the...
No, why you go to the mother? I'm asking about the father and the son.
The reason I'm doing that...
You're trying to evade that because you know it doesn't fit in your box.
I am not evading it. I am saying...
You are evading it.
What I'm doing... But I'm not evading it.
I asked you like 5 times the same question. No, I gave you a chance to answer.
No wonder I can't...
Every time I gave you a chance, you go on to something else.
The reason being is because it's a mother and because it's a
father and son.
You see, you interrupted.
Yeah, because you're going back to the mother.
I know you.
Stick to the example I gave you. Father and son. What is the problem?
Because it's father and son.
Yes. What's the problem?
Nature doesn't specify mother and son. It's just showing you.
Go back to mother and son.
Okay, let me explain.
You know, the reason you cannot stick to the example.
You can't have a debate with someone and say all the words that you've got in your defence. You can't.
Glenn, why are you evading the question? Why are you evading the question? Bro, can you have patience? No, you can't ask. Yes. No, you can't. You have to wait. What I'm saying is this: father and son. Can you stick to that? Can you focus on that example?
Yes.
Okay. Why is it wrong?
Because mother and son...
They go again, mother and son.
Yeah.
Stick to the father and son.
I'm not going to debate using only the words that you want me to
because
use.
it goes against you. It goes against your principle.
No.
That's why you're afraid to answer that.
No.
You're consistently evading that.
In the same way that mother and son isn't specific, I agree. In the same way that mother and son is not specific, that father and son shouldn't do it, it's not specific. I absolutely agree.
Why are you evading the question?
If you just asked me that question, I would have agreed with
Glenn,
you.
why are you evading the question?
The point is this.
Why are you evading the question?
Mother and son offer a gauge of what not to do for parents. Just as in religion, you'll have something that says don't do this, and people do it in different ways.
Yeah.
I would say that mother and son means father and son as well.
Why? In the case of mother and son, there is a chance of procreation. But in the case of the father, what is your contention?
Well, it's not because it's not they're going to produce bad or malforming kids.
So what's the problem then?
But it shows the action of doing it in mother and son is wrong.
Mother and son, I understand. In father and son, why is it wrong?
Well, mother and son, father, mother's the same.
You know, father and mother are not the same person.
They're different people.
Yes. So and the son. Wait a minute. The son and the father.
Biologically inconsequential whether a father and son sleep together. It makes no difference.
It does, because his principle was this: if 2 consenting adults
but when I said
do not hurt anyone, it's okay.
When I said that to him, he told me I've got to talk about the other things.
You have to. You have to.
Culturally unacceptable in just about every culture in the world.
Yeah.
Biologically, it's inconsequential. The difference being that a female and a male of the same genetic line sleeping together is biologically catastrophic.
Why?
Because the genes don't get mixed.
What if if there's no intent of procreation?
You've got various things about
what if they use contraception? Then is it okay?
then it's just culturally wrong. It's wrong.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, true or not?
Okay.
It's not specific.
The culture is based on what?
Your question and you move the goalpost.
No, I didn't. It's the same.
About mother and son.
Okay, Glenn, look.
Neither is it specific
Glenn,
about certain.
I'm saying there's no intent even between mother and son.
It's not, because look at
Unnatural thing to do.
It is wrong. Do you agree?
You can't use your own.
My friend, do you agree it's wrong?
Yeah, I agree.
No, you can't use your
Do you agree it's wrong or right?
moral.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
Base it into. I live, yes, I could say to a degree, but I can't speak on behalf of others, okay? That's their lifestyle. If they do it, it depends into individual case you're talking about.
Guys, I hope you're not filming me. If I see myself,
You're going to be famous.
How long have you been
if
here?
I see myself,
Glenn?
let me tell.
How long you been here? This was in front of you all this time.
Let me say the legal disclaimer. If I see myself on there, I will sue you. I do not want to be. I do not want to be on.
You can walk away, mate. Is a speaker corner?
I can now. I've realised
It's an open space.
By the way, why are you afraid to put that online?
It's a public space.
public space.
You can by all means walk
Yeah.
away right now.
Why-
I'm requesting that he doesn't film me.
No, but why you afraid to put that online?
Walk away.
I'm not afraid.
What is the reason for your?
Whatever I do,
For your
why do you
denial.
always twist it into this, that, or the
I'm
other?
asking you because it looks like you're somehow worried about this.
It's nothing. I'm not. It looks that way to you, but
He's
I
scared to
assure
be
you.
exposed. That's it.
Let him answer. Let him answer.
No, I'll say it.
Why are you worried? That's all I'm asking.
I will say everything again, and I will be on film interrupting just as many times as you interrupted me again.
And you never interrupted. I'm sure.
Well,
Just be quiet.
you're an expert.
It goes both ways, isn't it?
If I'm as bad at interrupting as you are, then I'm sorry.
Okay, and likewise.
But the point is, I'll say this just to underline that I'm not trying to get out of it. Yeah, I am saying that because we can take that a mother and a son having sex is wrong in nature, and I said why for me as a measure, and it's not specific for father and son. It's not. So I'm not trying to defend that. That doesn't to me mean that fathers and sons can do it with impunity and mothers and sons can't. It doesn't mean that. What I would do, because you asked me how I get my morals, what I would do is I would say, well, this is nature showing us that siblings having sex with the parents, not because it's mother and son. It's just nature showing us that siblings having sex with the parents is wrong.
If that is your reason,
Therefore, I'd say no.
Glenn,
Fathers and sons
if that
should
is
do
your
it.
reason about...
Now you might not like that because nature is because let me finish. I still haven't finished. You might not like that because it is inspecific. It's unspecific.
No, it's not because
and I
it's
said it
unspecific.
was unspecific. And if that was your problem, I'm not saying it is your problem.
No,
if it was your problem,
it's none of
I
that.
would agree with you because I started by saying it's unspecific. But just as it's unspecific, taking human nature of what a mother and a son should or shouldn't do doesn't apply to sons and fathers. It doesn't. Just as it's unspecific, there are very unspecific things in religious morality as well, which is why we see people that call themselves Christian behaving differently in that town to that town, or in the same town, next door neighbours.
Same with atheists.
Because
One atheist moral is another's immoral.
humans, whatever the reason
Same
is,
thing applies to you.
Exactly.
Yes. So what you're saying, your principle,
So
the reason...
point is,
wait.
I want to answer. I'll give you. Let you.
Yeah,
talk.
go on.
The point is, you said something many moments ago. It wasn't, but I've held this in my mind. I want to respond to this.
Go on.
You said that you can't just say. You were saying I was being hypocritical or something.
No, I didn't use the word hypocritical. I'm sorry.
Sure, something like that.
Yeah.
Which is why I finished the sentence off with something like that.
Okay. I said you're being inconsistent in your principle.
If it's bad that non-religious people can't use human nature as a guide for morality because it's not specific, which is what I'm understanding you're saying.
Yeah, it's basically subjective.
It allows, but it only subjected within a boundary. It's not a massive subjectivity.
Well,
right?
it depends which culture you look at.
Sure.
For example,
but you see that
there are certain
you
cultures.
see that in religion as well.
Yeah. No, not
so
necessarily.
if you're going to say to me it's too subjective,
Yeah.
but at least it's not completely subjective where there are no boundaries or rules that you can take from human nature. There are.
There are many things which are
subjective.
completely subjective and which are not completely subjective. Okay, for example, 100 years ago from today, yes, homosexuality was more or less wrong for everyone, regardless of whether you were religious or non-religious. Do you agree with that?
No.
No? So you think the atheists accepted homosexuality since when? Wait. When do you think they started to accept homosexuality? When?
Can I answer?
Yeah, go on.
20 years ago, I don't know how long ago you said, 20 years ago it was...
I said 100 years ago.
100 years ago, even 20 years ago for sure in the UK, culturally it was unacceptable.
Yeah.
But the quantity of people that existed then that felt sexually attracted to men is the same percentage then, because we know that we we know how many...
How do you know they were not in the closet hiding, saying that we were straight, but they were actually gay?
They were in the closet because culture was pushing them in the closet. What I'm saying is the same amount of people existed, and they actually went on, a lot of them, and had kids, and then later on divorced their wives and told their kids, sorry, I was gay all along.
By the way, that, you know, that wasn't my question.
I know it's not, but
my question was,
I'm getting there.
When did the atheists start to accept homosexuality, or did they always accept them?
Okay.
At what point?
I don't think it's not.
Bro, can you answer if you don't mind? With all due respect, is it okay? Is it okay one person speaks?
There is no such thing as atheism.
There is.
No, wait a second.
Really?
Wait a second.
Okay, go on.
There is no such thing as atheism, because in order to do that, because it's subjective, in order to do that, you'd have to have a text that says this is what it is. Atheists don't have that.
It's called a dictionary.
Well,
shall we?
Sure.
Shall we?
But there isn't.
Shall we look it up?
There isn't a doctrine that says that your behaviour. For example, a West Ham fan has to wear this T-shirt or blah 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 to have the attributes of a particular membership of Christianity or atheism. You have to behave like this. The only thing that makes you an atheist is if you just go, no, I don't think there are any gods. That's it. Now, the morality...
Is that wrong or right?
The behavior,
is that definition right or wrong?
That's all atheism is.
No, exactly. But do you agree with that?
There's nothing about the morality.
Hold on. Do you agree with that definition?
I do agree with that.
Where is it written? Which book is it written? The same book called the dictionary. Am I right?
Sure.
Okay, so go back. It is written somewhere. You know what? This is what is called the cultural norm. When a culture accepts a definition of a certain ideology like atheism, you cannot say atheism doesn't exist. It surely does exist. Yes, I agree. One atheist is different from another atheist.
Yeah.
His morals, and this is what I've been telling you all along, that the atheism doesn't have a standard moral on which it can rest its case. But in case of religion, for example, in Christianity, hear me out. In Christianity, there are different sects. Each sect of Christianity has certain defined rules, which actually makes the members to be accepted or rejected in that particular sect. And the same applies to Islam. The same applies to any other religion, including Buddhism, which doesn't believe in God, but they have certain, certain characteristics, certain rules, which make them Buddhist. Exactly. So what I'm saying, do not say there is no atheists out there. There are atheists out there.
Sure.
And there is something called atheism. Now wait. My question based on the... Wait, Glenn, based on the definition which you just agreed, i.e. atheists do not believe God exists. This category of people, when did they start accepting homosexuals to be accepted as a norm in the society?
Don't know.
Don't know. Could it be more than 100 years ago?
I would have said, given that how I think, and I would say that my lack of belief in religions has influenced how I think. So I've got to assume that my way of thinking, the Bertrand Russell type of thinking, the way that he deals with logic and the way that he thinks about things is very similar.
By the way, my question wasn't to you personally. I'm talking about atheists as a group. When do you think the atheists, for example, there were 100 years ago, there were atheists in this country. Do you agree? At that time, I'm sure they consider those homosexuals to be put to death or to be ostracized from the society.
I was answering that question.
Yeah, go on. I apologize for interrupting.
I am sorry that I don't give one-word answers or one-sentence answers. I apologize if that's just a fault in my personal...
No, all I want is a straight answer. No beating around the bush.
I know.
Okay, good.
But that's very, what's the word? Intolerant of you. I would stand there and listen, and someone's got something to... we need to be tolerant to listen. Just because people are different.
I was listening until you go to the wrong... If you go to the wrong tangent, I interrupt you.
Why don't we be tolerant of them and let them be what the hell they want to be?
I will let you be if you do not go to different tangents.
Of me that I've got a specific way of speaking which doesn't do things in one word or one sentence.
I don't expect you to answer in one word or sentence.
You do, because
I don't want you to go around different tangents when I ask you a specific question.
Which is the one word measure.
No, I ask you a specific question. For example, I ask you about father and son. You keep going to mother and son.
Yeah,
you do that all the time. Why?
Because
why do you beat around the bush when I ask you a specific question?
Because I think you can measure it from that.
No, you can't.
Because I think you can measure it not from the sex of the people. You can measure it of the action of sibling, child, offspring, and parent. So when I see a mother and a son having sex and producing crippled kids, which will produce a crippled society, right? Which will lead to our demise.
Not really. Not really. You know, people thought the same thing about homosexuals. Yes, that if they go and basically commit their their sin that they're doing, yes, we'll have HIV. Okay. We'll have all these diseases in the world. You know, these were atheists, including at that time, who would think like this. And what happened today? Everyone accepts it.
HIV you can take from the woman is serious.
You didn't understand the idea I was trying to get
I think that you can take from it parent and offspring. Therefore, it doesn't matter that it's mother or son, or mother or father.
But remember I told you about the contraception, and you did not address that. I said mother and son with contraception, is that okay? And you still wouldn't budge.
But I will budge.
No, you didn't.
I did.
You were consistently saying, what if they're bad offspring? What if they're bad offspring?
Even though I responded to you, and even though I'm going to give you the same answer now, you're still interrupting.
You know why? Because you always say, what if they have bad offsprings?
I don't find this conversation enjoyable in any way, shape or form.
If you are being consistent in your answers, it would be very, very clear to both of us.
But unfortunately, I might not be able to do it in one word or one sentence.
I didn't expect you to do it in one word or one sentence. All I'm saying is that if the mother and son have contraception, where does the question of siblings come from? Sorry, where does the question of their children come from?
There is charge if you see the man and father and son having sex. How do you charge them?
I think they're wrong. Immoral.
Okay, it's wrong.
What do you think there is? What do you think? No, what do you think?
How do you charge?
Okay, anyway.
How do you have
Don't answer the question.
Are you going to answer my question?
No.
Would you sleep with your mom or your dad? Would you?
I'm asking you first. Can I ask you one question? Listen, let me see.
I don't think you're making sense. Anyway, so going back to you, what I'm saying is this. If I have already told you very clearly that there is no intention for this mother, yes, to have children with her son, yes, then what would be the problem for you?
Let's take, for example, again, like I said, to take it from nature. Let's say, for example, you're saying that you have to do it on the mother, as the female, and the son as a son, because
with contraception. With contraception, very important.
I know, but I'm going to explain why, even with contraception, it's wrong.
Yes, please do. Go on.
Okay. And why?
Now I want to interrupt if you're going to answer that.
I've tried to do this several times.
No, you always went to a wrong tangent.
No.
Every time I asked you, you said they will have crippled children. Every time you said that.
I took the tangent that I wasn't going down. I was just making a point, and you didn't like.
Okay, I'm going to keep quiet. You do not divert from the question I asked you, which is, what if the mother and the son, if they have no intention of procreating, if they're using contraception, and there is no question of crippled children?
Here we are.
Go on.
So, I'm trying to answer specifically what you're getting at, which is how can you not define it to the female as the mother and the son, or even a lesbian mother and daughter?
Yeah.
The mother becomes
That's
a
fine,
lesbian,
that's fine, yeah.
Right? I'm trying to answer that question.
Go on.
And I don't know if it will mean this to you or not, or you'll be happy with my answer.
Go on, I'm waiting for your answer. I want to interrupt you. Go on.
I said to take it from nature. So give an example, right? Let's say, for example, if we knew, you know how birds and bees take nuts, they move nuts around, they move seeds around, they poop seeds out, and they plant new trees, they plant new bushes by flying seeds from over there in their poop to another part of the world. You realise this, right?
Yeah, carry on.
Let's say, for example, we knew that putting a particular seed in this particular dirt, right, which is why bees don't do it, it won't grow. It won't grow into this bush that they want to create their colony in, right? Therefore, it doesn't matter who does it, whether it's a bee doing it, whether a human tries to plant that seed there, we know it's not going to lead to anything. So it's not about the sex or who's doing it, it's the fact that action itself, that seed being put in that mud will not grow the bush that those bees need to have a beehive. Are you following now?
So carry on.
So it's the action itself, it's not who's doing it, because whether a bee does it or whether a human does it or whether a cow does it, it's still not going to work.
What's not going to work? What's not going to work?
It's the wrong thing to do.
You're going back to procreating, isn't it? Isn't it? See, Glenn, this is the problem with you. Every time I've given you a chance, you always go back to procreating. Why? Why do you do this consistently? And then you say, I'm the one not giving you a chance. Seriously. It doesn't. When you have no intention, wait a minute. When you have no intention of procreating, when you have using contraception, you always, Glenn, go back to procreating. Because you know why? You know why? Because that is the only valid point you have, unfortunately. And because I broke that point, you have no other way to go but procreating. Procreating every time. Why? Why can't you accept the fact that these two people, why can't you accept the, yeah, because homosexuality, he's got a good point. Homosexuality doesn't produce any offspring. It doesn't produce, so what is the point? You agree with that?
Against nature, it's against nature. Homosexuality.
I think you're talking about something different.
No, he's talking about the same thing.
You just come out.
He's got a good point actually. I agree with it.
I'm not using homosexuality.
Glenn, you really have to realize that there's something called every time you have sex is not for procreation. I think most of the time it is for pleasure. Do you agree with that? Yes? So what is wrong with a mother and son having pleasure? Or a father and son having pleasure? What is wrong with that? If the homosexuals are okay for them to have pleasure, or the lesbians for them to have pleasure, yes, why don't you say that is against nature? But the incest is, sorry, why don't you say that is also against nature?
Why do you have a problem with bringing the procreation side of it into the argument?
No, I don't have a problem with that. I'm saying the problem I have is that your principle is against your principle. Your principle is that if two consenting adults do not hurt each other, it is moral. These are your words. It is on camera if you don't believe me.
Yes, but if you press the stop button there, but if you look at the whole context of what I'm saying, is that I don't think that it's about the mother and the son. It's about the action of siblings having sex, or the action of the mother and the father, or of the son and the mother having sex. The action itself
is what? The action is what?
Will lead to bad consequences.
Which is?
So it's all about.
Which is?
It's all about.
Sorry, which is what? What is that bad consequence?
Procreation.
There you go again. You can't help it, can you, Glenn?
My friend,
you know, and then you say I didn't give you a chance to speak.
No.
You know, that is so, honestly, that is so disingenuous of you that you do not even realize it. I'm sorry to say this.
Bees, nature, they don't produce. Even you put a seed, they don't produce nothing, and that is against nature. That is the same standard you have to use when you're using homosexuality. To you now,
now I understand. That's not what I was saying. If my words have led you to that understanding, that is not what I'm saying.
No, what he's saying is that homosexuality is mainly, there's mainly lust involved in there. It is mainly for pleasure, not for procreation.
What I was trying to show is whether a bee,
wait
a second.
Ask him a different now.
What I was trying to show is whether a bee does it or a human does it, the doing of that thing that might grow a particular bush that wipes out an entire other nature reserve. That's wrong. That's wrong. Whether it's a human doing it or a bee doing it. Therefore,
so it's not nature.
Therefore, it's the action. Therefore, it's not male or female or mother and son. It's the action itself. If the action can create that problem, then that shows that parents. It shows parents having sex is wrong.
Glenn, if I told you the problem is eliminated, what is the problem with? What is the contention then?
It's the action.
So the action is immoral, is that what you're saying? Using that principle, homosexuality would be moral.
Why?
Because homosexuality, again, there is nothing to procreate.
It's against nature.
It is just pleasure.
Biologically, but not
you've misunderstood me. I'm not saying that the sexual act should produce kids.
Homosexuality.
That is exactly what you've been. That's what you've been saying all along. That is your main contention. Oh my God. Okay, so what is the main contention? It's not children. What is the main contention?
Now we can talk properly because we're on the same page.
I hope so.
Now I understand why you said something a minute ago. People have sex more often than not.
You can do
pleasure.
whatever you like.
So now I can see what you're
I've
getting
been saying this all along. I don't know why you didn't understand it.
I didn't put two and two together. I think
okay, so tell me, what is the contention?
I don't think I've spoken in the way to lead you down that path. I think you've stuck on that path.
No, I'm not. I've been consistent in my approach that if there was no, if two consenting adults have no intention of producing children and it's mainly for pleasure, I've been telling this all along. I don't know why you didn't understand it.
But my argument,
guys, let's have one discussion here because it's just confusing.
My argument isn't about its consenting pleasure. My argument was that it's not just the case of consenting pleasure, it can create other problems as well, right?
You're going back to procreation.
I'm going to procreation. Why can I not?
This guy doesn't understand, honestly.
Why can I not?
Anyway, thanks, Glenn. Looks like you're going in circles. You don't want to shake my hand? No problem. Alhamdulillah, you know, this is the problem with atheists. They are not consistent in their approach. Yes, when they go down this rabbit hole, they get stuck. And now, all of a sudden, he doesn't even want to shake my hand. He's so angry.
Because my argument.
Anyway, Glenn, you had your turn.
I was angry. I'm not angry anymore.
Why you didn't shake my hand? Why did you shake my hand?
I'm sorry, my friend. I'm sorry.
All right. Anyway,
I've calmed down. Your point is that I'm trying to say that sex is okay for pleasure or consent. That's your point.
No, that's not my point.
Not what I'm trying to
you
say.
missed it completely again. I said if two consenting adults, if they had sex, regardless of their gender, regardless of their relationship, yes, with their offspring, then what is the problem as long as they have no intention of procreating? Because you keep saying the problem is they will create children who are disabled. You know what? Let's say we have some scientific advancement. Yes, wait. We have some scientific advancement in the future where they will eliminate this problem of having handicapped children. Would that be acceptable then?
If people wanted to consent to having
yes,
sex, then
would that be okay? So you'll agree with people sleeping with their mothers then?
Yes.
There you go.
If it causes no problem.
There you go.
If it causes no problem.
Yes. So that's what I've been telling you all along. The atheists do not have a standard. They change the standards as what is in vogue, culturally acceptable.
Muslims in Norway are now establishing a masjid and dawah center to enhance the Norwegian dawah. If you donate to this cause, you will inshallah reap the rewards of thousands of Muslims coming back to Islam, and many of those will become du'at and invite to Islam. So click the link and donate now and share the video for extra rewards.